Okay, so you did not take into consideration regarding the individual's decision making. You are always telling that culture will influence. That means the person has no role in it, right? Yeah, the person has no role in it. So individual's role should be there, right? So if you have to develop your personality in the culture, you have multiple options. You should be able to choose among it. But what is he saying? He's saying that culture will decide what personality you'll be having. Okay, so this is Ralph Linton, and then you have Abraham Gardiner. Abraham Gardiner, again, he defines basic personality. What is basic personality? Because of common experience. While upbringing, because of the common experience, you have similar constellation of traits. Personality is nothing but constellation of traits, and since during the rearing practices, since everybody is brought up in same manner, everybody will be having same personality, which he calls the common experience. Because of common experience, you will have common personality, which is known as basic personality. Then he considers the society consists of two types of institutions: primary institution and secondary institution. Primary institutions, what do they do? Yeah, these help in forming the restriction, discipline in the child, right? So, like marriage, economy, family, all these institutions that are there. And secondary institutions try to resolve the tensions developed by the primary institutions. So, primary institutions means family, marriage, society, kinship, these organizations are there, right? So these will rear the child. While the upbringing of the child, he will be given certain personality. And this personality is known as basic personality, and this will influence the secondary institutions. Primary institutions will give rise to personality, and the person who developed will again try to influence the secondary institutions. Because I told you yesterday the story of Marcusans of Polynesia, where the woman is dangerous. That woman doesn't care about the man, husband, child, anyone. Now that influenced their personality. So they are fearful of the woman. And now again in the secondary institutions such as magic and religion, they are showing the stories or folklore myths which talks about woman as dangerous. So primary institutions will result in basic personality, which in turn will influence the secondary institution. This is Abraham Gardiner. And Abraham Gardiner, what extra does he talk other than this? What else does he talk? He talks about Ralph Linton, that both together, Ralph Linton, Abraham Gardiner together talked about basic personality. Now, Abraham Gardiner diverges from the Ralph Linton and says that Ralph Linton did not take into consideration the child rearing practices and the importance of primary institutions. This is what he talks about. Okay, so this is Abraham Gardiner. Then coming to Cora Du Bois. So Cora Du Bois is student of Linton and Gardiner. Both the people gave basic personality. Basic personality means because everybody is brought up in similar manner, the child rearing practices are same, socialization is same. Because of that reason, people will be having similar personality, common personality known as basic personality. Right. So this they have said. They are considering that everybody is having uniform personality, uniform influence of culture on them. But it is not in not the reality, right? In reality, what you have, we are all brought up in the same society, same culture, same rearing practices, but everybody is having different personality. So she accepts that personalities are not same, they are not uniform, and rather they can be different. First thing she accepts. Then they did not do much of the field work. Okay, they did not do any use any practical methodology or scientific methodology to prove it. So what she has done, she has conducted the drawing tests, projective tests. She also used road search tests, and she also used the dream material, interviews, and at the same time she also took the biographies of them, life history of them, and then using all these, she gave it to multiple people: Abraham Gardiner, Trude Smith, and Emile Oberholzer. These three people have taken those things, and you don't know. I gave three. I have conducted the test, and I gave you something. I gave you something. I gave you something, and three of you don't know that I gave you something to each other. But still, you people gave same conclusion. So when you gave same conclusion, from there she understood that there is some personality which is most frequently occurring, and she called it as modal personality, mean, median, mode. Mode means frequently occurring, number is called as mode, right? So similarly here, frequently occurring personality she called as modal personality. And she studied the Aloris of Indonesia, and there what she has highlighted is that there is childhood personality. So culture will influence the childhood personality, and this childhood personality in turn will influence the adult personality, and it creates a culture which is result of adult personality. So culture is influencing personality, and personality is influencing culture. From this study, she concludes that. I hope you are very clear with culture personality school and you have no issue. We have repeated at least 3 times so far. This is the school where generally difficulty is faced. But I think for you people it should be very easy. You should not take even any time to read it. Okay. So next theory what we have is symbolic interpretative theory. So yesterday we have talked about this. What are symbols? What is sign? This differentiation you should understand very clearly. What is sign? What is sign? What is symbol? We are more concerned about anthropology, so try to answer it from that angle. Try to write an answer, just write an answer of at least 50 to 100 words. Differentiate between sign and symbol. Just write whatever you can. When you write, then you'll understand better. It down. Done. So now tell me, what did you understand? Yesterday I have talked little bit about it. So we have sign, symbol, and symbolic. Sign, it is much discussed in anthropology at a later point of time, but before that, there is semiotic theory. Semiotic theory deals with language. So, Ferdinand de Saussure we have discussed, right, while talking about Levi-Strauss, structuralism. So, Ferdinand de Saussure said that sign is made up of two things: signifier and signified. Signifier and signified. What do you understand by it? See, this has been talked by Ferdinand de Saussure. Signifier and signifier. And then Pierce is other person who has added one more thing, that is interpreter. So what do you understand by signifier? That means the form. See, sign is something that stands for something else and it has basic unit of meaning. So that means signifier talks about the image, form, sound. You are making a sound to call someone. That is a signifier. Signified means the concept it is representing. So what are you trying to say? The concept. An interpreter has been introduced by Pierce. This PEIRC, Pierce. Interpreter means you are using the concept, whatever that is there, to understand it. So interpreter is somebody who is understanding that. First, sound is made, sound is conveying something, and the third person is understanding. So the person who is understanding is interpreter. So you can understand it in multiple ways. That is a sign. So you have red traffic light is a sign, right? So signifier is a signal. What is the meaning in it? Stop, and it is understood by culturally by drivers. But if you go and put the red light in some other culture, will they stop? they won't. Maybe for them it is move faster. So it varies. And now what is symbol? Symbol is a type of sign where the relationship between the signifier and signified is culturally learned. Symbol is a type of sign only, but here the relationship between the signifier and signified is culturally learned. That means the people belonging to a particular culture, they will establish certain signs and establish meanings with it, and they share with them, then it becomes a symbol. Suppose we are in this culture. Now, if you use your two hands to respect someone, this is a sign. Now, this has got some meaning and it is understood and it is shared among us, then it becomes a symbol. Or else it's a sign and it has got meaning, but it may or may not be shared among the people. The sign, it's a type of sign where the relationship between the signifier and signified. So, this relationship of understanding the sign and the meaning is culturally learned. What is symbolic? Symbolic is nothing but it's just an adjective where when anything happens, it is conveyed through the symbols. Right? So, symbolic is nothing but all the practices or the systems where the symbols are used to convey the meaning, that is called as symbolic. You are using symbols to convey the meaning. So, marriage rituals are there. There every, see again one more thing I told you yesterday, right? Sign can be tangible, intangible, visible, invisible. It can be an idea, it can be a thought, okay, anything. And that if it is shared among the people, then it becomes symbol. It's shared among the culture. Clear? Sign, sign means it is a sign, right? People may understand, may not understand. It has got some form, shape, and it has got some meaning also. But we all may understand, may not understand. Do you understand meaning of that? Maybe the people who made that art will be better able to understand, right? So, sign, it's not shared among all the people. It has meaning and it has form and shape. And other people, you will interpret in your way, I will interpret in my way, everybody will interpret it their own way. But symbol, it is understood by everyone because it is culturally learned, and the signifier and signified relationship is learned in the culture itself. So I hope you are clear with what is sign, what is symbol. Now the first and foremost thing you need to understand is the influence or the scholars that we have. So the scholars we have is Victor Turner, then we have Clifford Geertz, and David Snyder. These are the three people which are mentioned, and here you need to understand all the things, right? First, historical background, methodology, basic premises or assumptions that they have, then contributions, then conclusion. After talking the limitations of this contributions, these are the subheadings that you have to know when you know about any theory. So, historical background is that this theory has evolved for what reasons? We have discussed it. So, first thing, they were considering culture to be similar, uniformly being influenced, right? They consider the culture to be relative. And second thing, reaction to the structuralism, where they are trying to understand the structures they are focusing on the actions, not the actor. If you see in the social structure, what happens? It is how people establish their relations, right? So, which is present at the unconscious level of the mind. So, they are focusing upon the actions, how you establish the relationships, but they are not focusing on the actor. So, here what they emphasize is that they have ignored the actor. You should take actor into consideration and why they are doing it. We should study the emic perspective according to Clifford Geertz. లోపల పెట్టుకోండి. So, in structuralism, you have social structure. See, we have learned it very clearly that according to Levi-Strauss, social structure is abstract. It's like an idea. It is there in the mind. So now we are talking to each other in a particular way. Even without knowing, we are talking to each other in this manner. Why? Because at the back of our mind, at the subconscious level, it is already arranged. Social structure is arranged. Now that only we are trying to represent. So now his focus is on what we are doing, and focus is not on us, how we are deciding or how we are making things. He is not focusing on us. So here focus is on the actions and it is not on the actor, and at the same time they are focusing on the universal aspects. He said that everywhere people will think in same way, universal thought process, right? That's why everybody thinks in binary oppositions according to Levi-Strauss. So this is the universal process, but whereas symbolic anthropology says that no, it's not that thing, because everywhere people think on their own. It is different from culture to culture, and you have to follow the cultural relativistic approach, right? And there they have said you have ignored the symbols. They focused on the actions, and there they have ignored the symbols. They focused on the structures and not on the symbols. So these people said you should focus on the symbols, and they gave symbolic theory. So this is the reaction to the earlier theories they had. And now within symbolic anthropology, I told you we have three approaches. One is Victor Turner symbolic approach, Clifford Geertz interpretative approach, and David Snyder taxonomical approach. So these are the three approaches we have, and that we are going to study as a part of our syllabus. So we have seen historical background, then methodology. What method they have used? They have used the fieldwork method, and you should know that these two people use different methods in studying. So while explaining, I'll tell you what methods they have used. Okay, and then coming to basic premises or assumptions, what they say is that symbol is something which stands for something else and it is culturally shared. So the meaning of the symbol is only culturally understood. The role of anthropology is to understand the culture through the symbols. So now they are trying to understand the culture through the symbols. Making it simple, there is previously they were focusing on actions, they are not focusing on symbols. So now they'll say you focus on symbols, and they gave the symbolic theory. So in this, what they say is that symbol is something which stands for something else. Symbol is something which stands for something else, and it is culturally shared. And second thing, you should use symbols to understand culture. Culture is nothing but it's a combination of multiple symbols. You combine all the symbols, that will become culture. Because idea, thought, process, act, anything that everything is symbol only. Because everything has got some meaning and it is culturally shared. So if you combine all the symbols, it becomes culture. So in order to understand culture, you have to study symbols. Okay, so they want to understand the culture through the symbols. This is their basic premise. And now we have Victor Turner, we have Clifford Geertz. Okay, so these people are influenced by different scholars. So here Victor Turner is influenced by Emile Durkheim. Victor Turner is influenced by Emile Durkheim, who is structural functionalist. So structural functionalist, what they are emphasizing upon, they'll say that how people are maintaining cohesion, how they are maintaining solidarity, how the stability of the society is maintained. They are trying to understand through social structure. So Emile Durkheim belongs to structural functionalist and he influenced Victor Turner. So Victor Turner is also interested in understanding cohesion of the society. He is also interested in understanding cohesion of the society, but through the symbols. So there they use different approach. Here he is using symbols to understand cohesion. So this, when we study the works of Victor Turner, you will understand how he tried to understand the cohesion. And then Emile Durkheim has given social fact theory. What is social fact theory? Suppose I am behaving in a particular way. So now instead of just wearing goggles and putting on jacket, behaving like an hero, I just come in formals, wearing a normal specs, frameless specs. Why do I behave in this way? According to Emile Durkheim, there are social facts. Social facts are nothing but norms, rules. So standard accepted behavior. So they are influencing me to behave in a particular way. So my behavior is because of external social facts. That is social fact theory. So social fact theory has influenced Victor Turner. Victor Turner believes that your behavior is controlled external. Max Weber influenced Clifford Geertz. Max Weber influenced Clifford Geertz. Max Weber has given social action theory. So according to him, behavior is not because of somebody, some rules, some accepted behavior. It is because it is my decision to come in this way. Or else tomorrow I come in other pattern or other attire as well. It's my own decision making ability. So he says that individuals, despite norms and rules, they make a decision and they decide how to behave. So that is Max Weber's theory and social action theory. So Clifford Geertz got influenced by this. And this is the reason they go for emic and etic approach. Emic means you are trying to know the insider perspective. That means there is a group, and now within your family, you are a group. You are a particular you have a particular culture, and now when somebody comes there, you might tell something which you don't follow also, because that generally happens in interviews when results come. Okay, so they make you sit on the stairs reading the books which you don't. So the basically here emic approach means the insider perspective. That means what the person is feeling exactly. You will get to know. Etic means from outside I'll understand what you are thinking, what is your outcome or what you are trying to do. But From emic perspective, I'll ask you what you are thinking, and then I'll interpret. Okay, this is my understanding of what you are thinking. That is interpretative approach. Interpretative approach is nothing but you are trying to interpret what the person insider is saying, or insider is thinking or practicing. That is emic approach. So here emic and etic, and at the same time here Victor Turner considers symbols as operators in social process. Here he considers symbols as operators in social process. And he considers symbols as vehicles of culture. Okay, so we'll study these things in detail now. Okay, you have understood what is symbol, then what is symbolic anthropology. They consider culture to be nothing but an integration of all the symbols, and the role of anthropologists is to study the symbols and to understand the culture and the change that happens over there. That is the role of symbolic anthropologists. And why did this school come? It is in reaction to structuralist school, which says that you are focusing on actions and not the actor, and you are not focusing on the symbols, you are focusing on the structures. That's why they have come up with this theory. And then you have different people within that, three different approaches: symbolic, interpretative, taxonomical. So these are very important. So first we'll discuss this today. So symbolic, you have Victor Turner, and interpretative, Clifford Geertz. They are influenced by different people. He is influenced by Emile Durkheim, who is a functionalist, who says that you should focus on cohesion. Cohesion and behavior is result of social fact theory. So here external influence is noticed, and they emphasize on the etic approach. Here Clifford Geertz emphasizes on the emic approach, and he is influenced by Max Weber's social action theory. These are two things they talk about: symbols as social operator, symbols as operators in social process, and symbols as vehicles of culture. Right? So, according to Victor Turner, symbol by itself does not mean anything, but to natives or to people belong to a particular culture, it means something. Because the tricolor flag, you take it to some tribes, for them, does it mean anything? Our flag, national flag, does it mean anything to the tribes that they were laying somewhere else? It's just a piece of cloth. So symbol is something that stands for something else, and it has to be interpreted from the viewpoint of the native, because it is culturally learned. And you know that sacred thread in India is suggesting that it, what does it indicate? Sacred thread. That means they are twice born varnas. It is not just a thread. Turner was particularly interested in the rites of passage, and his rites of passage means during your life cycle you change your status from one to other. That means you are at stage 1 in your life, you go to other stage: child, boy, adulthood, then other stage you have man, then elder, old man, right? So you pass from one stage to another stage in your life. While changing from one stage to another stage, the rituals are practiced, some festivals are conducted, right? For women, puberty rituals are conducted. For male also, sacred thread ceremony is conducted. So depending upon the culture, so in every culture, while moving from one stage to another stage, certain rituals happen. those are called as life cycle rituals. And the other name for it, rites de passage. So this concept has been first discussed in detail by Arnold D. Van Gennep. This is the person who discussed it in first, and then this concept. He says that there is a stage before, stage after, and there is a transition stage. This concept has been borrowed by Victor Turner, who, see, first is separation, you are separated, then again you are integrated. Between is transition. He calls there are three stages during this life cycle ritual. Three stages. You are separated first from the main. Then you have transition. Your ritual time period. You are neither a girl nor a woman. You are neither a boy nor an adult. So you are first separated and you are brought to a place, you are kept separate, some ceremony rituals are conducted. Then after completion you are integrated. So there is a phase of separation, there is a phase of transition, and there is a phase of incorporation or integration. This same thing Victor Turner has divided into preliminal, liminal, postliminal. When you separate, that he called as preliminal, transition phase is liminal, incorporation is postliminal. Okay, so these are the things that you have in our life. When you are at stage one, you have a particular status. Status is a boy. As a boy, you have some role. You have status, you have role. Or as a girl, you have a role. And when you move to other stage, then again as a woman, you have status, you have a role. But during the change, during the ritual, you are not there, not here. That means you are neither here nor there. You are betwixt. You are betwixt and between. During the liminal period, this is liminal period, this is post-liminal, this is preliminal. During the liminal period, you are neither here nor there. You are between and betwixt. Betwixt means between the positions. You are neither here nor there. So, at this stage, your status and role is not clear. What is your role? You don't know. What is your status? You don't know. Whether you should behave like a woman or a girl, you don't know. So, he calls this stage as ambiguous. He calls it as anti-structure. Why he calls this as anti-structure? Because in the society, the social structure consists of parts, institutions, individuals, right? So everybody has status and role. If there is breakage of this status and role, that means it is going against the structure, and henceforth he calls it as anti-structure. I'll show you one video. If you observed it, in this ritual, there are two things that are happening. First, why are they doing this ritual? They are jumping from a tower. Is that if they jump from there, they will have bountiful harvest. Yam harvest, yam is a kind of food, so that yam harvest will be bountiful. And at the same time, if a boy jumps from there, then he becomes an adult. So it shows the strength of the masculinity, right? That was being discussed. So if a boy jumps from there, then he becomes an adult. So it is acting as both harvest ritual as at the same time life cycle ritual for the individuals. And at the same time, you have Kosa community of Africa where the circumcision happens for the male. The male is circumcised. So, okay, that video, it's okay. In the African community, in the African Kosa community, the male is circumcised and he has been sent. That means he is separated. He goes and stays with the people of his own period. That means who is in the transition period. And from there, he develops a kind of bond with those people. When you are separated and all other people who are circumcised, so of those people of their age who are circumcised, they all will stay together because they are separated for a period. Then after that they are reintegrated. Now during this process, they all will understand who are in the same phase. They know the pain, they know that what is the issue. Okay, they understand each other, they develop a strong bond. So now a kind of unified feeling will develop among them. That is called as communitas. A kind of unified feeling develop among the people who are in the liminal phase or anti-structure. They all will develop a kind of unified feeling among themselves, which is called as communitas. So you need to understand these words. Sometimes they'll directly throw you these words and they'll ask you as a question. So once they've asked liminality, people didn't know what to write. So if you know now what is liminality, what is liminal phase, what it talks about, you know some examples, you know some studies, automatically 10 marker is done. So this is called as communitas. So these people who are in this stage develop a unified feeling among themselves, which is known as communitas. Right? So this is one thing that he has studied through the rituals. So he studies Dembu of Zambia. So Zambia is now Zimbabwe. So this is the name of the tribe. So here in the book Forest of Symbols, for in the book Forest of Symbols, he talks about Dembo of Zambia. There they have a festival known as Kanga festival. This is the name of the festival. In this festival, what happens is that this is a puberty festival. So when girl becomes an adult, so here like there, how do they decide the puberty stage? They doesn't decide based on the age, rather they decide based on the physical appearance of the girl. So based on the physical appearance of the girl, they do the puberty ritual that is known as Kang. So here there is a tree known as matrilineal tree, or this tree is known as Mudye tree or milk tree, because when the sap of this is removed, it gives milk. Okay, it is considered the milk of the ancestors. So it represents the symbol of mothers, or it shows the perpetuation of matrilineal. Matrilineal means the mother's aspect is being continued. Now what happens is that the girl during this ritual is taken to a hut where the activities are performed, all the women will sing, and the girl is going to learn how she should behave, or what things that she has to be done. She is going to learn through the songs or the activities that are done. So she has been kept in a separate hut during this process, and all the women sing and perform the activities. And they come near this tree, they dance, they exchange the clothes. Okay, so which shows the mother and daughter exchange of cloth is like during the death. What happens is that they exchange the cloths, right? So some piece of cloth is exchanged, assuming that there remains a strong connection between them throughout the night. So like that, here also they exchange the cloth. So in this manner, the festival is done, the life cycle ritual. So through this ritual, what he understands is that in this process, the woman, the women who are there, they'll try to train the girl to become a woman, and the girl is in the transition phase. She is neither a girl now nor a woman. So this is what he has observed, and here this festival shows how the matrilineal. So because of this celebration near the tree, considering the mothers, all the mothers are resting in this tree. So which shows that matrilineal is being continued. So that means through the symbol of the tree, what you are doing, you are trying to show that importance of the mothers or the female in the society, or the continuity of the matrilineal is being displayed here. Getting my point? So what they are doing, they are using the symbols. Now again, see, Victor Turner follows etic approach. He does not follow emic approach. So now they are not telling this. He is understanding these things. It is not just what they are thinking. He is thinking it because he has assumed, because when they are exchanging the cloths, they did not say anything. But he only assumed that psychologically, they, now he should follow the structural functionalist approach, right? But what is he using? He is trying to understand what people are thinking. That means psychological approach is being implemented. That is one of the criticism Victor Turner faces. He faces the criticism by the people that How can you tell what they are thinking? You are only bringing out the conclusion. That is done generally by psychologists. So psychological thinking can, you did not say that you are using that approach. You are using symbolic approach. You should get to know through the symbol what they are understanding by the symbol. They did not even say that, but you are concluding it. That is the criticism that he faces at later point of time. So this is one of the ritual that he has studied in the Dembo of Zambia. The name of the festival is Kanga. Okay, and one more thing here, the liminal phase, according to Victor Turner, is not just related to age. It is not just related to age. It can be anything. Suppose we know that there are devotees of Shabarimala, Ayappa devotees. Okay, so first they are normal people, then they take that Diksha. So because of that, they become the devotees of Ayappa and they follow a particular kind of life which is not the same before, and they go to Shabarimala, and after coming back again they get back the new life. The people who go to Shabarimala and come back, they are after they come back, what people do, they go to their homes and they take their blessings, respect, they celebrate, they perform some puja or something. What is happening here, there is change in the status of the person after completion of the event. So similarly, Hajj pilgrimage, before going they have one status and after coming back they have other status. So this is also liminal period. So during the pilgrimage, they are in the transition period or liminal period. During the Diksha period, they are also, Ayappa devotees are in the liminal period, right? So through symbols, Turner is explaining the structure and the transition across the structure. Through the symbols, what you are understanding? Through the symbols, you are understanding the structure and the transition through the structure. Are you getting my point? Is there any doubt? Can you explain what is liminal, preliminal, postliminal? What is Victor Turner talking about? So there are life cycle rituals. In these rituals, people move from one stage to another. So in this moving from one stage to another, he called this as preliminal, liminal, and postliminal. He has divided into three stages. Preliminal means you are separated from the previous one we have. So in the first stage, you are a boy. You are separated from boy first, and then you are in the transition phase. Then you are reincorporated. So he called preliminal, liminal, and postliminal. Right? So that is the transition. What is communitas? Bhaskar, what is the communitas? So the common united feeling during the transition stage, which they feel that it is for this moment only, eternal now. Okay, so that feeling is called as communitas. So the moment in and out of time. That means this is the only moment they will be having that feeling. Okay. So overall, he is trying to explain the structure. What is structure? People, the status, role, their positions, that is structure. And how the transitions across the structure are happening. And Turner knows that some people manipulate the symbols in an unusual way to convey their position in the structure. You will manipulate the symbols. You see, in the society when you're living, if I have to give you an example, Ambedkar used to wear a suit to symbolically show that they are of better status, right? So people manipulate using the symbols in an unusual way. Okay, so suppose you take Gandhi. Gandhi tried to approximate the condition of poor. Previously, when he was a lawyer, he was wearing suit only. But in order to approximate the condition of the poor, he started dressing in a different manner in a dhoti. So, using this theory, we can understand why Ambedkar chose to dress differently and whom he was trying to approximate, and Gandhi whom he was trying to approximate. So, symbolic theory can help you understand the structure and the transition across the structure. So, he says that anti-structure is like Sunday. People are tired of structure. So, Monday to Saturday, you do continuously classes, everything, and then you want a change. That is Sunday. So, people are tired of the structure and they want to free themselves from the structure. And he says that the anti structure is only present to strengthen the structure. Why is Sunday there? Only to bring back your momentum faster, better on Monday. That is what Victor Turner says. So, anti structure is present to strengthen the structure. So, there is wife of Victor Turner, that is Edith Turner. Edith Turner wrote in the work, okay, so she highlights that with controlled excitement, she studies the story of Sandombu. Sandombu means a sorcerer. The story of a sorcerer in the Dembu society. Okay, so she got excited by reading, by seeing that she read this and she observed there are four things. First is breach, crisis, redress, and reintegration. Victor Turner talks about the concept of social drama from what she reads the story and writes. So, Sandombu is a sorcerer. Sorcerer, if you commit a mistake, what happens? It will lead to breach. That means when the normal rules are there, it's functioning stable in a proper manner. But now, sorcerer is going against the societal norms, which leads to breach. When there is breach of any rule or norms, that leads to crisis. Now, whenever there is crisis, you should try to redress it and reintegrate. So, in the work, schism and continuity in an African society. So, in the work, schism. He has talked about the concept of social drama. So, the social drama happens whenever there is a breach, crisis, redress, and reintegration. So he calls this as social drama. Whenever in any society there is a breach, there would be a crisis, and one has to redress it and reintegrate. So, will always there be solution or redress? No. So, there will be schism also. So, there he talked about, in this work, he has talked about the social drama. Take an example in India. Suppose when two people belonging to different castes try to marry, so they are violating the caste rules. What happens? There will be a breach. Now that leads to crisis. People from both the sides will come, they'll become angry on each other. That leads to crisis. Now there is a need for redress. So both the people of both the sides will sit, they'll do the panchayat. If both agree, then it will lead to the marriage of the people staying together, or people will recognize that it is sorry, irremediable character. Remediable means, that means that you cannot correct them. Irremediable. So it is not always social dramas lead to social restoration of harmony. There is a possible condition that there can be schism. Schism means there can be friction. So and this has been highlighted in the schism. Schism means friction. Not always people will agree for a solution. So he says that social processes are based on cooperative efforts rather than conflicts. There are some social processes, they are based on cooperative efforts rather than conflicts. He calls them as social enterprises. So what are social enterprises? If you notice, in society, some of the activities or some of the social dramas will lead to cooperation rather than conflict. Those he calls as social enterprises. So, in which book did he talk about this social drama? Schism and Continuity in an African Society. So, these are the contributions of Victor Turner. Interpreting symbols, he is interpreting symbols, but how? He is interpreting from an outsider point of view, not an insider point of view. And informants are not aware of what he is talking about. We have seen mediatory, here there in the mediatory, this is a milk tree representing matrilineal, and here it is showing matrilineal. See, this is the symbol of mother. That means it continuity of the society is depending upon it, according to Victor Turner, and it is showing the matrilineal continuity there. These all things are said by the informants, or it is being understood by Victor Turner? That's the question. Ethic view. That means the view that has been presented is by the scholar and not the informant. So now there is one activity. In that activity, what happens after the marriage? Some small games are conducted, some cassava beans are given, so people will participate, and in this participation, the male side and female side participants come, and whoever wins, so whether to stay with the female side or male side, so they follow matrilineal. So whether the after marriage should they stay at mother side or father side, it is decided based on those games. So now here what happens is that Victor Turner, they are not saying anything. Victor Turner is saying that competition is between the matri locality and viri locality. That means whether you should stay at mother's home or you go to the husband's home. So there are many things that informants are not telling it, but the Victor Turner himself is assuming. Victor Turner says that the people all show that this event or the tree represents, the milk tree represents only unifying aspects. But Victor Turner says that during the dance process, the male are not allowed to enter or go inside. So they prevent the male. So that means all the women will form a circle and they will not allow the entry of men. So they should enter, but they won't allow. So Victor Turner says that it's a conflict between the matrilineal and patrilineal. So it's a fight between the matri locality and viri locality. But people don't know all these things. They are just doing the event, and only Victor Turner is thinking about it. So it is the ethic view that he has taken, interpreted from an outsider point of view. These are the part of ethic view. Interpreting symbols is the task of an anthropologist. See, interpreting symbols is the task of an anthropologist that we have studied at the first. What is the role of symbolic anthropologists? Because they consider culture is integration of symbols. You have to study the symbols, interpret it, and understand. But Victor Turner says that one thing that if you are not doing interpretation, then it is not a symbol at all. He says that anthropologist is trained to sift the difficult situations, because people question that if you are interpreting and you are not getting to know what they are saying, then it might lead to some bias, it might lead to the different interpretations that you have already existing within you, might influence what you are trying to say now. Already you have some thought process, now you are trying to tell about somebody, that will obviously influence. But Victor Turner says that then what is role of studying anthropology? Why are you made to study these techniques? To be objective, right? So if you cannot be objective, then your entire discipline or work of anthropology is waste. So anthropologist is trained to face such subjective situation and remain objective according to him. So when people are criticizing that when you are interpreting and giving an outsider view, then there is a possibility of bias and subjective aspect. Can the anthropologist be objective always? People will say that it is not possible. But Victor Turner says that anthropologists can be objective, and that is what he is trained for. And in the complex situations only he will understand and he will explain. So as a social anthropologist, he believes that they are capable of analyzing the social aspect of relationship. So now here you can see that he is trying to give only one understanding possible. If whoever comes, they'll understand in one way. If they are well trained in anthropology, they will tell the thing objectively by using the ethic approach. So we have learnt about his methodology, that he has used ethic approach. He did not talk about the insider's perspective alone. He gave his own understanding. At the same time, he did not talk about structural functionalist only, but he also talked about psychological understanding, because exchanging of cloth, which they doesn't give any meaning, but this person himself has given a meaning to it. So that means what they are thinking, he is applying the psychological approach also. This is about Victor Turner. So in Victor Turner, what is important is rites of passage, what are symbols, rituals, liminal period, communitas, anti-structure, social drama, Nakanga ritual. Okay, so how is structure related to liminality? That means anti-structure and liminality, how they are related. So these all things you should know. You are clear? Any doubt? Just go through quickly and let me know if you have any doubt. Saiteja, అర్థమవుతుందా? ముందుది రాకుండా ఇది ఎట్లా అర్థం? ముందు క్లాస్ లేకుండా ఇది ఎట్లా అర్థమవుతుంది? ఎమ్ఐఎల్ డర్కిన్ గురించి చదివినా? ఎనీ డౌట్స్ శివ? So Victor Turner is done, right? Social What did you understand? What did you understand? I told you there might be some social dramas. Sorcerer is one such. There can be plenty social dramas where the breach happens, crisis will come, redress and reintegration will happen. But there will be some social dramas where the cooperation is done rather than conflict. Such social dramas are called social enterprises. Clear? Any other doubt? Now coming to Clifford Geer's. He uses interpretative approach. Thank you. So how is the previous approach? He is also interpreting. Even Victor Turner is also interpreting. Then how is this person different from Victor Turner? How is he different? What he does is that he studies an event, he will study an event, he will record all the information. You take any important event that is happening in culture, you record all the information and the various interpretations given. And from that, you give your own interpretation. You'll record all the various interpretation and you give your own interpretation. So through an event, he wants to narrate what society is. And in this approach, you have to remember three things. That first, anthropologist is analyzing culture through an event. He is studying an event, not just for studying event. You are not just studying for the sake of describing an event, but to tell what culture is based on the event. Okay. And second thing, his report that he is giving is only an interpretation, and that's not final. First, you are studying an event, not just for sake of studying an event, but to tell what culture is. And next, the interpretation. You will see multiple interpretation, and you will give your own interpretation. And this interpretation, is it final? What you are telling is the truth? No, he says that this is not the final. There can be other interpretations also. And are you trying to give any loss or generalization here? No, he is not interested in any generalization or giving the laws. He is rather focused on observation. And he says that man is spun himself in the web of symbols. And he uses this interpretative approach, explains this interpretative approach in the work, The Interpretation of Culture. See, what are the three important things that he talks about this interpretative approach? What are the three features? First, anthropologist is studying event not just for the sake of studying event, but to tell what culture is from the event or what the society is from the event. You study the event and you will tell how the society is, how the culture. And second, you will make interpretations. you will see all other interpretations also, and you will give your own. And whether your own is correct or truth or final, no, it is not. And next, are you trying to give any loss of culture by studying? No, he is not interested in giving any loss. He does not believe in loss of culture. So he uses hermeneutics approach. Hermeneutics is nothing but reading a book. So Greek god in the past used to tell something. So to explain what God has said to the people, which is called as hermeneutics. So in the similar manner, he considers culture is like a text. So in the culture you have symbols, and these symbols have got meaning, and this is shared among that culture people. So this symbol has got meanings, and this is known to only people belonging to that culture. Only we know what is the meaning of our culture, not outsiders. For outsiders, it is just a side. So now he says that just like you read the textbook and you explain it to the others, because which people don't understand, in the similar manner, you study the culture and you study the meaning of the symbols from the native's point of view and you explain it to others. That is what hermeneutics is. So here, hermeneutics is the explanation of what Greek god has said. So in the similar way, he says that you use this. So he considered culture as a text. And he says that you have to use thick description. Thick description. So what is thick description and what is thin description? Yesterday we have discussed quickly. What is thick description and what is thin description? Bhaskar, did we learn or not? So he says that culture is like an onion. Onion consists of layers. So outer layer is explicit. Outer layer you can see directly. It is explicit. What primarily people associate with culture, their clothes, behavior, everything you'll know, language, housing, you'll get to know. What is the middle layer? Middle layer will consist of norms and values held by the community. So they'll consider some things to be right, good, some things to be wrong, bad. So norms are often external and reinforced by social control. And there is inner layer that is known as implicit culture. So those are the core part of it, consists of basic assumptions. So for an outsider, these basic assumptions are very difficult to recognize. So what is at the core, outsider cannot understand. So you will be able to explain what is at the core using thick description. Thick description is describing in very detail, not telling it superficial. He uses example of Gilbert Ryle, wink and blink. Gilbert Ryle uses this example. Wink means it's an intentional thing. Blink means you are blinking an eye. That can be for various reasons. If you say somebody is blinking an eye, will you get to know what is the meaning of it? He might have blinked because some irritation is there in the eye, or he is giving some indication to thief to escape. So there can be multiple reasons. So wink is thick description, blink is thin description. Blink means you are telling superficial. So Gilbert Ryle has given this example of wink and blink, trying to show that, and he also uses the thick description, and he says that thick description has four characteristics. First, it is interpretative. That means you can interpret, and this interpretative is flow of the discourse, social discourse. That means whatever you are interpreting is part of the communication that they are doing. First, thick description is interpretative, and next, this interpretive is of the flow of the social discourse. Flow of the social discourse means in the communication or in the acts that they are doing. And interpreting consists of trying to rescue the said of such discourse from its perishing occasions and fix in perusable terms. What they're trying to say is that basically they're interpreting something, they are trying to interpret where in their actions and the language or the communication that they are doing. Now, this interpreting consists of trying to rescue the said. Whoever is trying to tell about these things, they are preserved. Okay, you are trying to save them and you are trying to focus on the microscopic. First is it is interpretive. This interpretive is in the form of social discourse, and this third one here, this interpretive is being rescued, and you are focusing on the microscopic. I'll give you all these things, and it is microscopic. Microscopic means you are focusing on the minute details also in order to understand. This is thick description. Thick description means you are trying to talk in detail and you are trying to understand what the people are saying and trying to maintain what the people are saying by protecting them, by rescuing such discourse of the said. So when you can maintain that, then only you will be able to tell what the core is present. In an onion, what is at the core, outsider cannot know. If you have to tell what is at the core, you have to interpret, and that too using thick description. So you have to preserve everything, what people are saying in detail. Thick description means simply talking everything in detail. First, you will know about them and how they are telling it through the actions, and you will ensure that they are not lost. Okay, and at the same time, you will focus on the microscopic aspects. Through this, you will be able to draw large conclusions from a small but very densely textured facts. So you're looking at one single event, but you're telling about so many things. When you do at microscopic level and when you get to know about things in detail, then only you will be able to give broad conclusion, right? If you don't know what are the minor facts and if you are not focusing on the microscopic aspect, you cannot give broad conclusions. So I told you they try to study the culture through an event. So you are taking an event and you are doing the thick description of it. So one such work where thick description is reflected is Balinese cockfight study of Indonesia. Balinese cock. Yeah. So the name of the work is Deep Play Notes on the Balinese Cockfight. So now you know cockfights, right? Do you know cockfights? Cockfight. Hmm? Cockfight. So fighting cocks is like playing with fire, not getting burned. So in villages, if you see, you have all the village, different village people coming together. You have kins, you have group rivalries. Everybody will come and they will engage in this. So now what happens? There are certain rules. Women doesn't participate directly in the cockfight. Women will participate in the subordinate activities around, and at the same time, when two different villages are participating, it's okay. But if the within the village, if your kin group is participating and from other side other kin group is participating, now you cannot support the other one. You cannot bet against the you cannot bet on the other side. You should support your own side. Within the family, again the same case. If two families are doing, you cannot support the other family, though they belong to same kin group. So these are certain rules. And when the cockfight happens, they think that it is not the cocks that are fighting, but they themselves are involved. And they think that it is the masculinity expressed through the cocks. When the cocks are fighting, they think they are showing their strength there. They bet on it. So it is showing the status of the people. So winning and losing is not just cock dying, but it's the death of the status of the opposite person. So it is not just showing the superficial thing. He did not just notice what the event is, but he is trying to explain the interpretations of the people. And he gave his own interpretation. And he gave every detail, minute detail. how the cockfights happen and what they're trying to convey. What is the meaning? Whether the cocks are really fighting or the people are involved imaginarily. What is happening if they lose? What is happening if they win? They're trying to show their masculinity over there. This is what the thick description of the cockfight. These are the contributions of Clifford Geertz, and there is one more contribution: religion. The concept of religion by Clifford Geertz. Just note down that we'll discuss while reading Unit 5, religion chapter. So there I'll be explaining the view of religion by Clifford Geertz. So now you need to understand one thing. What is Clifford Geertz saying? That everybody will tell their interpretations. I will look at it and I will give my own interpretation. But mine is not final. You can come and you give your interpretation. Yours also is not final. That means there can be multiple interpretations possible. That means there can be multiple truths, which means there is polyvocality. So we have the next school known as postmodernism. Postmodernism is nothing but if you have seen Rosomon movie of Japan, if you haven't, just seen Rosomon. So there they'll show an elephant from all the sides. Everything will seem true. Everybody, four people will come and they'll say four truths. There is multiple truths possible. For the same aspect, I can tell there four people are sitting. Other person will come and say that 26 chairs are empty. So both are truths only. So multiple interpretations are possible. Polyvocality. So postmodernists will say that there is not just one truth, there is multiple realities possible. So here Clifford Geertz is also saying the same thing, right? So he is more inclined towards postmodernism. Postmodernism is a later school. But whereas Victor Turner, so there might be a question in exam that whether Clifford Geertz is a postmodernist. Then you have to tell that through his approach, we can get to know that he is saying that there is multiple interpretations possible, which means there are multiple truths by which he accepts the polyvocality. Henceforth, we can assume that he is moving towards postmodernism. Whereas Victor Turner, is he postmodernist? No, because he says that by looking at it, everybody will be telling the same thing because they are trained for telling the objective things, not subjective. So he's not an postmodernist. So this is with respect to symbolic anthropology of Victor Turner and Clifford Geertz. Tomorrow we will be seeing the David Snyder taxonomical approach and the critical analysis of these three. Okay. So any doubts in symbolic approach of Victor Turner and interpretative approach of Clifford Geertz? So with this, all your complex theories are done. So there is no theory that can confuse you anymore. All the theories are done. Right? Clear? Any doubts? Please go through and ask. Okay then, that's it for today. Thank you.